This is a Stock Trade and Reality Podcast, episode 138.
On the 24th, I ended up having 2-something thousand contracts expire worthless for a nearly $13,000 loss.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, Clay Trader.
Welcome to episode 138. Hopefully from the title of this or the thumbnail you saw that this is part 2. So if you have not listened to part 1, that being episode 137, be sure to go back to that and this will all flow a whole lot better for you. I mean, I guess if you don't want to watch or listen to part 1, you can hop right in at this moment in time. But for the best listener experience, go back to episode 137 and that'll be part 1, and then you can come back to this later on, and like I said, it'll just be one nice smooth interview. So let's hop back in with part 2 with our guest Carl. We it sounds like we got like 10 months to go. I guess, where do you want to pick up this journey? I mean, this is good stuff. I'm kind of lost on the timeline, so I'll toss the ball to you in terms of where you think we should kind of.
We've kind of gone back and forth. Long story short, you do a lot of research on how successful are traders. What's the average return? 90% of traders end in failure or with a loss. So I have no real basis for, what's actually possible? What's even reasonable? And so, I get back to break even in December and I'm like, okay, well, this is good. But, also not talking politics, but Trump won the election. When he won the election, oh my God, the Dow was down, 800 points? It was, anyways,
well, yeah, overnight, the futures went.
It was
futures
a
down 800 points.
Nutty futures market that night. It was
and
crazy.
So that's obviously not good for, being a volatility shorter. You don't want to have a 2008 level spike or whatever size. And so I decided to, I also did some trading on natural gas being in the winter. My assumption was, prices are high in the winter. They should drop off going into spring. And so I transitioned through a period that I thought was going to be very high volatility, being, January, February. I transitioned to doing some natural gas heavier in January and then trailing back into UVXY after ended up being a non-issue thus far. But then January was like a fantastically huge month. So going into February 4th is when I bought CTU. And I mentioned earlier that I do a lot of reading and I like to read. I don't necessarily read books. I like to read online because I'm all over the place. But I bought this a book, something called like Options Strategy and Volatility. I can't remember. It's a green covered book, but it's something about options because I wanted to learn about options. Because I kept hearing people talk about selling put or buying puts on UVXY, and I didn't understand it. Anyways, I bought the book, and I was like, well, this book's awful dry, and it doesn't really explain anything. I can't ask any questions. So instead of wasting my time reading this book, I'll just buy Clay Trader University. And
how did you even find me, out of curiosity?
Oh, it was out of your 6-something thousand free videos on YouTube.
Okay, so it was just you stumbled across on YouTube. And I always, from the business angle, I'm always curious how people stumble.
Hey guys, this is Clay Trader and UVXY sucks. That's pretty much the summary of the video you probably saw.
Did I do a video on UVXY before?
I'm sure you have. Actually, I know you have because you actually my inclination was you were talking about going long, which given the context, UVXY and its biggest in 2008, if it had been open, it would have gained 1,500% roughly. I mean, that's a pretty big swing. So, it does have its long side. It's just that long side doesn't interest me. But, between that and, you seemed very down to earth, I guess I would say. You didn't seem like all the sleazy people trying to tell me that I can get rich quick. Because again, I'm a big skeptic. I'm very skeptical of getting something for free or getting something easily. You have to put some sweat equity into it. So I bought CTU on February 4th, so I wouldn't have to read this 400-page green book that was very dry.
Now you got Clay's dryness.
Yeah, now it's joke's on you. I mean, you thought that book was going to be boring. Oh, man. What were you thinking? But, no, well, hopefully you don't think hopefully the courses are a little bit better than the dry.
Oh yeah,
book.
They're,
All right,
I never actually even read the book.
No, I guess I'm just fascinated by. So you have this strategy, you're winning a whole lot with it.
I'm also skeptical that it can really be this easy.
So why even, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why? I think I know the answer now that I'm talking out loud and based on things you've said in the past, but why even start to try to, learn something like such as options? I mean, I know you heard about selling puts, so what does that mean? But I mean, why even bother? Who cares? You have a strategy that works.
So overall, the strategy works, and it works very, very well for me. However, as I say in the chat room, I'm a one-trick dog. It just happens to be that my one trick is, potentially worth a good bit. But if the market situation changes, if the underlying tendency of the market changes, I don't have any great idea on how this will actually translate into that, or will I just be hopelessly lost in a position that takes, a year to get out of, which goes back to time value of money and being stuck in a position versus taking a loss. But my theory was, okay, if I'm going to keep on trading, if I've made the amount of money I made in January, and if I'm going to transition more towards trading and less towards sweating for my money, then, maybe I need to learn more. I need to be more diversified in my ability to find opportunities.
That makes sense because earlier you had mentioned as a businessman, you're always looking for multiple streams of income. So from a psychological perspective, hey, why not have multiple streams of income from trading strategies too? So what are you exactly, because you mentioned earlier doing just an RVR trade, and I'm assuming that was just straight up stock, so that had nothing to do with options. But I guess where'd you start with the options, or I mean, what is kind of your ultimate goal? Because I'm not quite sure how far exactly you are within the options world and those strategies.
I have some more things that probably bring a tear to your eye. So,
please do. I have my box of tissues right next to me, and my wife brought them in.
What about your Sour Patch Kids?
Oh, those are gone.
Oh, that's
not
a
the weekend
day.
either.
Yeah, I know.
No, but it's Tuesday? So Tuesday's bike day.
It is. Yeah, I gotta keep energy up for tonight's webinar, and because you don't know how to answer questions. I mean, you don't know. You got to. Have you went back and we're getting way off topic. I'll bust your chops about that at the end. But
what about the candlesticks?
Yeah, about the candlesticks. You don't pay attention, man.
Because you can't read.
Yeah, I know. It's so true. But anyways, I don't even remember options. Let's talk options right now. And you keep bringing tears to my eyes.
Instead of starting at the beginning with robotic trading and then skill sharpening and RVR and level 2s, all that. I didn't care about that. Sure, I bought the full package. At this point, I didn't really care about the chat room because I was still just trying to figure out myself. Interestingly, both of the companies that I have success stemmed largely from the relationships that I gathered through online relationships. So anyways, that was another aspect of Clay Trader that I liked, was that, it was actually a quote unquote community. But so instead of, actually starting at the beginning and actually learning any kind of basics, any kind of, ideas about what the heck I was actually doing, no, I just started flipping through options trading. And when I say flipping through, I mean like literally, oh, okay, that's what a call is. Oh, okay, that's what a put is. Oh, okay, I've got this now. So actually, I can pull up and tell you my first options trade.
Please.
On my spreadsheet. And you're going to like it because we're getting back to that part about the tears to your eye and how I skipped around.
These might be tears of anger right now.
No.
When you're talking about skipping around, but I don't know. We'll see.
No. I'm saying we're getting there. We're getting there. So scrolling back to February, first options trade was February 13th of this year. So I bought the course on the 4th, which was apparently a Saturday. Just side note, my mother died on the 8th. My first options trade was on the 13th. So first options trade, I don't really have notes for how I made $378. I think it was on 2 options trades. I was looking at those and I was like, well, holy crap. If I would have held those, like I took the profit early because, PSP.
Yeah, tears of anger that's what you're
No, just hold on.
Okay.
Just throw something in the Sour Patch.
I'm trying to hold on.
Patch. So I was like, well, geez, if I would have...
Mom, I need the meatloaf. Name the movie, Carl.
See, you like dumb comedy more than I do.
That's true, but so you can't name the movie? Is that...
I can't. I like a lot of movies. I watch a lot of movies, but I can't do like Dumb and Dumber. I know your favorite.
Well, that's a high probability guess, but that's wrong. Listeners, leave it in the comment section. What movie is that from? Anyways, proceed onwards.
So I realized, hey, I took this profit. This first trade, I think, going off memory, was like $150. If I would have kept those puts till the end of the day, I would have tripled the money that I had in there. I was like, well, holy crap. These freaking options are awesome. Intraday scalping, I can't remember how many contracts that was. It couldn't have been many. But I was like, if I would have just held on to these, well, heck yeah. So we'll fast forward. That was on the 13th of February. If we fast forward to, I started opening a position on the 15th that ended up closing on the 24th that had options, and as well as, so I had UVXY options as well as, 20, 30,000 shares of DGAS and some UVXY shorted. Well, anyways, so I remember skipping around. My first options trade, like in my memo for that day, it says first options trade with an exclamation point. I was like, yes. So on the 24th, I ended up having 2-something thousand contracts expire worthless for a nearly $13,000 loss.
I remember you had kind of mentioned all this stuff, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't that leave a bitter taste in your mouth, the fact that had happened?
No, it wasn't really a bitter. No, I mean, like, as far as I know, I've never been bitter about it.
You're a bigger man than I am. I'll just tell you that.
It was options trading. Basically, what happened was I got in a position. I didn't know anything about anything to speak of in terms of some Greeks that happened to do with time and how it's not on your side when you're buying premium. Keep that course content in the course. I'm listening for tears, Clay. Where's the Kleenex?
I'm just listening right now. I'm eating the meatloaf. My mom makes some good meatloaf, so yeah, I'm just stuffing my face over here. Keep on going, man.
So basically, yeah, I had it started moving against me, and I looked at it and I was like, well, hey, if it spikes that far again, then if I double my position size, then I can start cutting out contracts there, averaging down. Which, depending on your strategy, averaging down can be either good or absolutely horrible of an idea. You need to have context and some discipline with that. But anyways, so because I didn't really understand what I was doing, I ended up buying like literally 2,000, it was between 2,000 and 2,100 contracts that expired for a $12,889 loss.
And this one, go ahead.
The tiers are that I skipped around. I didn't actually, I learned what I wanted to learn, which is what is a call, what is an option. I didn't bother learning any context on how those might do with anything else. And
that's good stuff. That's a great quote. I learned what I wanted to learn. But
I learned what I came for. I wanted to know what a call and a put was. And so, I got that. I understood, okay, I get this. Awesome. Let's go, buy 2,000 contracts.
Couple little nuances though regarding kind of expiration, and which obviously led to a big loss. But is it safe to say kind of the whole you looking at options is not just from a gain aspect? And I bring this up because you had talked about doing kind of RVR trades, and like I said, I've just seen you kind of go from. You're trying to expand your trading arsenal, and that's mainly to be, not the jack of all trades, but if say volatility trading stops working for you well, you want to be able to adapt and kind of just essentially you're looking to always make money in the market. You're not willing to say volatility trading, and by no means do I think this will happen, stops working for you. You're just going to give up on the market. Is that safe to assume?
Right. It's so if my family is going to start depending on this kind of income, or if my future is going to be fundamentally changed by the potential of this income, I want to have more than just one particular tool that I can use, because situations change. But I didn't get bent out of shape about the options loss because contrary to that courses video that's on the member page, I didn't bother starting at the beginning. I learned what I came to learn and went out and made my mistake.
Okay, now I'm going to go on a rant here. So thank you very much, Carl. This is a tear-filled rant.
There you go.
I'm getting my turds twisted. There we go. Have you ever heard that one, Chuz?
No.
That's straight from my mother-in-law, man. She's like, anyways, all right, here we go. So Carl, he came to learn what he wants to learn. And thank you, in all honesty, and I'm not even trying to be funny, I appreciate that. It cost you $11,000, whatever that was, $12,000. Because you learned what you wanted to learn, and you didn't know what you didn't know, and I get this all the time, and it drives me nuts. There's a video I have out there that's called How to Get Started Trading, And for the most part, I don't want to make it sound like the majority of people are like this, but some of the comments on that video are, what a waste of time. This is the dumbest thing ever. A few name calling here and there. And why?
Right,
because you came to learn how to get started trading. The base of the video is the first thing you do for trading is you have to get mentally prepared. You have to actually make sure your expectations are in line with reality. That's how you get started trading. It starts in your mind. It starts nowhere else. Well, and most people will know. My definition of how to get started trading is you should be telling me when to buy, what broker to use, what platform to use, and then when to sell. And because that video doesn't cover those things, people get all bent out of shape. But to Carl's point, you got to be very careful with I love how you said it. I came to learn what I wanted to learn. Well, you got to remember, maybe there's things outside of what you want to learn that you're not even aware of that actually need to be learned first. So, and in Carl's case, that was a very expensive lesson, and I can guarantee it for many people, it's also a very expensive lesson. Maybe not to the tune of $11,000 or whatever, but if you got a $1,000 account and that lesson cost you $500, well, there's 50% of your account. So,
it takes 100% gain to get back even.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the math working against you. So that's a little kind of funny comment on Carl's part, but a very powerful one.
My point is, buy CTU. Don't be an idiot. Just buy CTU, the whole dang thing. Do payment plans if you need to. And then start at the beginning if you're trying to learn how to trade. Don't just, okay, this is what I wanted to know. And then off you go. Yeah,
no, that's first off, let's just get disclosure you're not being compensated outside of Sour Patch Kids for that statement, right? You get no monetary benefit.
No, like I told Antioch Water, I don't understand why CTU members beat on the CTU drum so hard in the chat room. I'm not getting anything out of it, per se. But, for whatever reason, we seem to believe in it pretty hard. And I didn't actually start doing the courses until I started in the chat room in, I think it was June. Ches and I had a marvelous time hating each other.
We absolutely did.
I love it.
I started doing courses, I think, in probably late August, maybe mid-August, somewhere in there. Just start at the beginning and learn what you need to learn.
And you've been, coming pretty faithfully to the live webinars at night. Is that?
Yeah, except for when life gets in the way.
Yeah, and that's...
Although... I really couldn't say anything until I started doing the courses because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I still just had my one trick. Although the chat room did give me some new ideas, even though my strategy was overwhelmingly unpopular. Overwhelmingly. I did learn things from the chat room just actually being there. I'm a big fan of iron sharpening iron, man sharpens man. I learn from people that are smarter than me about whatever the topic is. So that did help a good bit. Which probably ended up leading to me starting the courses.
Nice.
Oh, and
also, go ahead.
No, I was going to say February did end resoundingly green for me. So that $13,000, I gave up a little less than a third of my profit for the month. So then in early March, I decided to pull a substantial chunk of my trading account out to invest it into my tree service to buy a crane, a very specialized crane. So anyways, I pulled the money out because I thought, for sure there's no way possible that, I've made $100,000 in the first, 10 weeks of the year. There's no way. So I'm going to pull the money out and reinvest it in something that I know, has had a 14-year track record of providing, and that is the tree service. So, kind of hit a lull there, pulled out a big chunk of money and started focusing on the tree service in late March, and I still traded, I still made money, but wasn't nearly as aggressive as I was before, or as I'm getting back to in terms of trading every day, trying to get back on the, not necessarily get back on the horse, but get back on the idea that, okay, this is a viable option for making a living. It's not, sure, 90% of people lose day trading. However, the profit I make comes from someone else. So, that's not really a bad thing in my case.
No, that well said. I mean, there's you need somebody to buy the tops and sell the bottoms, and when you have people out there that don't want to put in the time and effort, that's they're providing the tops and the bottoms. So in your case, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah,
like
no.
I've mentioned, I'd be interested to see just how well Inner Circle does on a monthly basis. That would just be an interesting statistic there to me. But I like numbers and such.
That's I believe it or not, I do take all suggestions to heart, and I think on them. So I definitely have seen that. But I guess what I'm very fascinated in to ask is, you're coming from a high win rate strategy, and now you're starting to move into strategies that are not going to be 99% winning all the time. So how are you? Maybe it's still a work in progress, and that's fine. That'll still be a good talking point. But how are you dealing with losses kind of mentally? I mean, coming from, like I said, high win rate to now, losses, or the potential for losses being there. I mean, I guess, have you taken losses since starting to do some, we'll call it CTU trades?
Absolutely.
So how are you dealing
two
with them
trades? So
how does it make you feel?
Yeah,
how does it make me feel? Well, let me lay down on the couch and tell you all about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, please do. Ches has got on his little skirt right now, and his. Never mind. I don't know.
You could have went with like nerdy psych glasses or something.
I'm thinking
but
like
you went with a skirt.
the woman that's sitting there with like the. Never mind. It's.
Jeez.
Seems like he's bringing up some repressed memories.
Yeah. I need
Exactly.
some more. I need more meatloaf. I think it was in a movie, but I'm trying to think what movie scene I'm trying to think of.
Anyways, so Carl, how does it actually make you feel from not a woman in a skirt asking you the question?
I actually, before I moved brokerages, I actually ran the numbers while we were talking, and it's like a 99.94% win rate. And that one loss was still a positive position overall. So anyways, going from that to, okay, a 70% win rate is great. And I'm like, well, geez, that is a long ways away from 100. Long ways away. Like, other side of the universe. Like that one, what is it? 0.6% that I lost cost me $5,000. So now they're wanting me to lose 30% of my trades and just consider that to be good. So my first RVR trade, that was, set up to be an RVR trade, I didn't really follow what I knew I should have done. And that was shorting, what was it? ILNY, I believe. Does that sound right? The pharmaceutical that went up like
ILNY. That does sound vaguely familiar. Yeah.
It went up.
It was
from
a pharma.
70...
That's kind of enough said there. Pharma.
Okay. So, anyways, I went to shorting it, and sure enough, it ended up being a profitable. It would have been profitable, but I took a $467 loss. I was watching you Clay trade it, and Nate and some other people, and. I was sitting there watching the chart, and I kept watching all these ideal setups pass by, just like a boat under a bridge. And I just watch all this happen, and I'm like, well, God, I don't want to miss out. So let me short here. And, I nailed the top of a 50-something% move within like 30 cents.
That's just it. I was gonna say that's part of it. That's a rite of passage. I'm absolutely guilty. Absolutely guilty in the sense of I watch two good trade setups go by, and then I trade the third, and the third one sucks, and I get hosed on it every time. But
the other problem too was this wasn't actually a full setup. Like I knew it was going up, so I was long, not short. I think I might have said short earlier. Anyways, so I knew it was going up, but I really didn't. I set my stop loss. Didn't really have a great idea for where the profit might be. But I thought, hey, green is green. At least I'm willing to take a stop loss or use a stop loss. And so, anyways, took the loss, $467, I believe it was. However, my theory in general is I like to know the answer before the question is asked. So, my volatility strategy is still working, and I still ended the day green. So that really lessened the blow of like, okay, I just took a $31,000 loss moving brokerages, or realized a $31,000 loss moving brokerages, and here's a $400-something loss. But I still have what works for me, and I'm trying to learn more. Another thing that I learned was, don't worry about the commission on these learning trades. Just assume the commission is zero. So that way my position size doesn't have to be hundreds of shares to make my flat rate commission, commiserate with what my per share commission was at Interactive Brokers. So like, for example, today I shorted, 500 shares of Fitbit at I can't remember, 58 cents maybe, 50, somewhere in there. anyways, and so my risk was, I went ahead and defined, okay, here's the theory on how far can it possibly move based on its previous price action. Set my stop loss and had my mitigation point, and it was actually a reasonably set up RVR trade. I had all three components. You have one component you can't move. You have two that you can. You have one that you can't move to. Yeah, that's right. So anyways, and I ended up, like I said, making 1160. So it was a positive trade. It never actually reached my
Target
RVR ratio target, but that was fine because it did consolidate and let me move my stop loss below break even, and so there you go.
Best
and
spot to be in ever, right there.
Yeah, and big thing that I look for is scalability of a strategy. If you can't put two more zeros behind it, I'm not really interested. And for example, on this RVR trade, I risked $35, put two more zeros behind it, and that would have been 3,500. Instead of 400 shares or 500 shares, it would have been 50,000, and it would have been $1,100 win. Not something I'm ready to do now, but the number does work. It is a scalable idea as long as the volume's there. RVR is a scalable idea.
Absolutely too, and I mean, just from what we kind of said before, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But Carl's trying to just expand his horizon so that he's not relying on one particular thing, right? And I like the part you said, don't worry about the commission cost, don't worry about any of that stuff. You're focusing on the process, and that's what you should do. Clay, I think you even have a video about how commissions ruin some people's trade plans because they're trading around overcoming commissions for like a smaller account. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, the stock broker trade plan virus, something like that.
Something virus, right.
Yeah,
but,
and that's exactly it. Yep.
But Carl, I want to, since I know, how methodical you are and kind of how you dive headfirst into stuff, what exactly are your routines for trading? Do you do homework in the evening? Do you just look at stocks and trade, in the morning and during the day? What kind of preparation do you do, if any at all?
Are we talking about RVR or VIX?
Both.
Just trading in general.
Okay, so for RVR, I'm still going through the courses. I've knocked out robotic trading, skill sharpening, RVR, level 2s. Theoretically, I'll be done with shorting today, and then with Hooch's blessing, I can move to options.
Hooch actually runs his website.
After Hooch anoints you with maple syrup, then that's
Exactly.
your blessing, and you can move on. Gotcha.
Well, he suggested doing shorting first. On your courses video, you had two different brackets. You could either do shorting, trampoline, and volcano, or options, advanced options. He said do shorting before I do options because I short a lot.
I'd agree with that.
In terms of scanning, in terms of RVR, or looking for setups, I mean, unless something just absolutely falls in my lap while I'm poking around, like this Fitbit idea came from member Dev, I'm presuming, in the chat room. And it was just something he mentioned, and instead of parroting his trade or his idea, I just looked at the chart and found some things for my own. But at this point, until I get further through my coursework, I'm not really looking for RVR trades because I'm still trying to learn about CTU and about the various ways of doing it before I worry about. I'm trying to stay focused on learning before I worry about earning on this strategy. For volatility, it's simple. I only trade essentially three symbols, UVXY, SVXY, and XIV. Through Inner Circle, I've learned some ideas about selling premium for UVXY that has proven to be good advice. But in terms of scanning for options or not for options, for entries, we'll say, on volatility, they all move in concert with each other. So it's literally three ticker symbols that two of them move lockstep. One of them's at 1.02%, the other's at 1.13% for the day. And then UVXY is the opposite direction and double that. So anyways, on volatility, one thing that I liked about it was it is just like there's very little homework to do. Keep an eye on contango versus backwardation, the futures months contract, or the futures months that are in term, the near first and second months. But basically, there's not a whole lot of homework to do there. Did learn something about some Bollinger Bands that could apply to my strategy that so far have kept me green every day, and so far haven't had to hold any positions overnight. So CTU does weigh on my mind. I hear, Clay talks about all these voices in his courses, how voices are going to mess with you in your trade and going to try to make you move your stop loss or do this or do that. And for me, it's not really trying to tell me to do this or that. It's like, okay, I have this strategy that works, but I'm also trying to learn this new idea. And so, what are these voices that are resoundingly Clay's voice? What can I apply from that to what I'm already doing to make it better? No matter how good something is, you can always improve. Whether it's less ups or less, what would that be? Unrealized loss, less beta on the account. Traditionally, if you give up beta, then you're going to lose some alpha as well. Or if you have less beta, you're going to have less alpha. But if your downturn is substantially less, that's an overall net win. So long story short, not a whole lot of homework for volatility after doing it for a year. I have a few things I check, a few things that I watch, and 1,800 trades, and it comes naturally. So now what I'm trying to do is learn the basics of RVR or CTU trading so that can come instinctively.
Yeah, and I want to make a comment there because you're not really cutting yourself short, but you're being relatively humble about it. Yeah, he doesn't do a bunch of work now. So don't be like, oh, what a little scumbag. He doesn't put any work in yet. He does. No, he put front heavy. All the research, all the fine tuning, that stuff took a whole ton of time.
Very front loaded.
Yeah, very front loaded in time. And now, right now he sits and says, I don't do much homework with it, and I just show up and trade.
Because it's already done.
That's the power of charts. That's the power of strategies. That's the power of doing excessive amounts of homework up front, like Shed said, very, front heavy in terms of time, so that you can kind of sit back and, it's not quite passive income, but he doesn't have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn in order. Well, but you are up at the butt crack of dawn because we've been talking for the past several mornings. Always just chit chatting a little bit. But that's for other reasons, right? That's because you're being a good dad. But anyways, so
and another point that you talked about on IC earlier today was with Antioch Waters saying he bought the first month and that he was listening to it at work. Kind of background noise. And I told him, nothing against you, Clay, but you like your bull pulls are actually bull poles. You have some accent issues there, and it's whatever. I don't want to listen to it anymore.
I can barely understand what you're saying, Southern boy, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I knew that was coming.
So, my theory is to focus when I am doing the coursework so that I have a pretty high retention level. I learn pretty quickly in general. And so I really have no desire to background noise the coursework because, if it's background noise, I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm not getting anywhere near enough out of it. And what's the point? The whole point is to learn. So if you're not learning, then you're doing something wrong.
Exactly, and that's why as you saw it was
we all said
plan on going through it many times. That's my plan. All right, then fine.
It takes concentration. I think we had another conversation with somebody who said, "Oh yeah, I listen to him while I'm driving a truck," and I'm like, "Well, the thing about trading is it's not really an audible type thing. You kind of got to use your eyes, and that's the point of the repetition we do in the course."
Listens to the podcast while he's driving, but that's podcast, not coursework.
No, there's another member, though, that I've talked to kind of privately who says he listens to robotic trading in the courses while he's driving a truck, and I go it's just
it's
like
hard
Clay
to see
said,
the chart that way.
Be prepared to rewatch it, and by no means should you be driving a truck and watching the course. Listening, sure, fine, whatever, but if you're driving a truck and looking at charts, I'm just going to stop driving for my fear of life. Yeah. So, but anyways, it requires concentration. It really requires concentration.
And we're talking about 100 and dang near 50 hours of course material. Mm-hmm. There's 168 hours in a week, and Clay's very big on time efficiency and his 5x5 workouts and all that.
Have you done? No, never mind. We'll say that to the end.
I don't really want to. I don't want to spend 3 or 4 weeks listening to the same stuff over and over. I'd rather put some effort into it now. If it might end up taking 4 or 5 weeks to do it, but I get it the first time, and I could use the rest of my time to do other things that may be more applicable than passively listening to a course.
You are a business owner through and through. I mean, the way you speak about time and your understanding of it, absolutely. And the person that we were talking about, if they have time in their schedule, it's all subjective, it's all relative,
Sure.
where they can go through it multiple times, then so be it. But I'm with you, Carl. If I'm going to do something, that's why right now I'm working on a real estate course.
Yeah.
And I need
January
to
of
have
19.
full bore. January. That's right. You are the one that made that joke in the webinar. Exactly. It'll be out November.
It's only a joke
yeah,
right now.
Yeah. 10 years from now. But for me, I wake up, 5:40. That gives me 20 minutes to get my coffee, do whatever, kind of wake up. Then from 6 to 8 is when I start answering emails. But it gives me 2 solid hours of peace and quiet because my family's still sleeping. And I just want to make sure my time is best spent, getting something done. So I'm totally with you, Carl. You got to use your time most efficiently. But that's subjective, like I said, to, the person.
Well, sure,
maybe,
and also different people learn different ways.
Good point.
I'm an audio-visual learner. He might be more audio. I mean, there's things you could pick up from the courses just passively listening, but, it's going to take a lot of time. But if it's passively listening, it's time used other ways, so maybe it works for him, and if it does, great. But like Ches was saying, at some point you do kind of need to listen to the course and look at the chart at the same time.
Yeah, there's definitely a visual component that if audio is a part of it, that's great. But I'm telling you right now, visual needs to be some sort of learning method because that's what trading is. It's visual, whether it's fundamental analysis or technical analysis. You're going to be looking at things. You can't just listen to everything. So definitely good points there. Now you mentioned selling premium, or there was somebody that had maybe threw that idea towards your way. So are you actually doing some premium selling strategies option wise, or are you just kind of doing research into that?
So in keeping with my initial VIX strategy, I will sell premium on volatility spikes. But beyond that, thus far, I haven't done anything with options. Like the only thing I've done is one particular trick in options that works very well with my strategy, considering that shares to short in UVXY are a finite commodity.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And I'm just thinking here, Ches, I feel like, would you agree? Because you were definitely the resident option farmer here, but I feel like option farming. Since Carl has good patience, he can sit through some pain and all that. He's got those, those mental characteristics that are definitely, helpful. Would you agree that option farming is definitely something that, you could foresee him and kind of visualize him doing with some productivity and efficiency?
Farming. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I was from maybe a retirement supplement stance, yes, but honestly, just knowing Carl, I don't think it's aggressive enough. So, and by no means does it have anything to do with the risk versus reward. I just think the fact that if it takes positions, 2 to 3 to 4 weeks to kind of come in, and don't get me wrong, I know he's totally fine to kind of weather the storm and roll positions and pretty much have that high hit rate that he's used to. I'm just not sure it's aggressive enough in terms of return.
It's not active enough. Yeah, it's not.
Exactly. I think you love being kind of tied to the market like minute to minute. So I'm just not sure. Like I said, for supplemental stuff, for your retirement, selling calls against it, all that kind of stuff, sure. But otherwise, Clay, I would disagree. I don't think that it really fits his personality.
The only thing I can think of on there is, given a few years, given a period of time, there is a potential opportunity for my trading account to substantially increase from injection, not from growth. And from that, I might have money parked in farming, depending, who knows. But it is something I'm interested in learning about, just because, knowledge gives you more opportunities. But the only thing I was doing is selling naked calls on UVXY, long dated, and then capturing some pufferfish and price movement.
I love how you speak in code, where CTU people know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't want to get banned.
Nobody else has any idea. This is good stuff.
Like, you have to remember, for my first 6 weeks before I took the 2 week sabbatical, I downloaded the course material in case I got in a disagreement with a certain admin moderator kind of person, and got banned from CTU. I've never seen anyone get banned. I've heard of someone getting banned multiple times.
People are not banned for disagreeing. Absolutely not.
Well, it depends on the context of the disagreement and the volume that it's said with. I am kind of known for having somewhat of a temper from time to time, and so I try to constrain that.
If
as
we
much
were
as
ever
possible.
banning people for disagreeing, you would have been the top of the list, Carl. I've never butted heads with somebody so hard when you joined, but if you
Yeah, it
release
all worked
course
out.
material and other stuff if you break the rules, you're going to get a time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to lash out. So, anyways, yeah. But no, so I don't want to talk about course material. You've put a lot of work into it, Clay. I mean, you have, I think last I looked, 6-something thousand videos on YouTube publicly. That's a lot of time and effort.
I've lost count.
So, I figure keep it where it needs to be, and hopefully when I screw up, you'll give the forgiveness like has happened a few times.
No, you're the first one that's going, and you're going for good, Carl. But
6,963 videos on YouTube.
Yeah, Clay doesn't mess around. But
So
so
a lot of those are
obviously,
video charts. Anyways, go
Right.
for
They
it,
are video
Chaz.
charts, sure, but
I was
still,
gonna say,
you take time
Carl-
out of your day to do video charts like incessantly.
yeah. But obviously, you seem to be very well in touch with not only what you do best, but where you want to go and kind of grow in terms of that. So I'm kind of interested to hear your answer to this. What would you say are what you perceive as your largest strengths? And it doesn't have to be just trading related. This can be like overarching life stuff. So I want to hear your answer for this one.
My strengths. Intelligence. I have a saying that basically lazy people can't be dumb. So I like
that lazy people
can't
cannot
be dumb. Correct. We can't be successful, lazy, and dumb. You have to pick two. So
That's interesting.
I don't mind working hard.
Wait, say
but
that again. I'm not that smart. You're talking about intelligence, but I'm not intelligent. Lazy people can't be dumb. Is that what you said?
You can't be dumb and be successful if you're lazy. You have to, the American dream, if you get up, work hard all of your life, you'll retire, your 2.5 kids, white picket fence, dog, 2-story house, all that. Hard work will get you a long way in life. Hard work would be the opposite of being lazy. So
okay, no, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You out of your little American dream analogy you just drew up, my one little critique, you left out meatloaf.
and Sour Patch Kids.
And Sour Patch Kids, yeah. That's
so.
Okay, no, I get it now. That is a very good saying.
So, I do have some mental acuities. I do have a reasonable amount of emotional control. And just from my upbringing, I'm not inherently scared of hard work, although I try to figure out ways to mitigate the harshness of the work. Like, for example, buying a remote control crane to take down trees versus when I started, climbing trees manually. So work
smarter, not harder.
resourcefulness, yeah, work smarter, not harder. Well, in answering Chez's
Time
question,
efficiency, I'm going to throw that one in there. You're very good with time.
No, because I consider myself to be pretty lazy compared to where I used to be. Like now, my time management revolves around being able to spend more time with the family versus, for example, chasing Hurricane Irma and potentially taking care of that opportunity or capitalizing on that opportunity. But spending time with your family is still something that requires time management. For example, tonight is webinar night, so the wife knows that in general I'm not keeping our baby Carly from the hours of 6 to 7. So somebody will be here to take care of that because family support's a good thing. But personality traits that are helpful would be mental toughness, mental acuity, and not probably just being fortunate in business to be able to have some opportunities to have some capital. To have some capital.
Yeah, no, that's good.
That I can reallocate.
But I would say you created the fortune in business. It's not like
Sure,
you
the
just
hard
totally
work
lucked
led
out
to
or
the laziness.
anything.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, on the flip side of things, what are some things that I don't know if weakness is necessarily the right word, but maybe
weakness
some
is the right
things
word. If
that
we're talking about strengths, what's the counterpoint of the strength that's a weakness? So
things that you
laziness,
suck at, Carl. What are some weaknesses that you want to work on?
Sure. Lazy. The easy way out is not always the best way out. So quantifying, okay, is this me taking advantage of an opportunity or is this me just being lazy? Money management, in terms of, if you can't manage your money, it doesn't matter how much money you make. I can always spend it faster than I can make. So personal money management would be, or I guess actually personal isn't a problem. I've looked at that. Business money management, just money management in general, in terms of if you're a business owner, your goal is to make profit, and profit would be free and clear money at the end of the day. So money management, laziness or lack of motivation, which is probably something most people can relate to from time to time. And my stubbornness would both be a strength and a weakness, I would assume.
And what's funny, Clay, is he says the word laziness a lot, but he's been working since he's 12 years old and has had an IRA set up and multiple businesses and stuff. So it's.
But you have to remember the context. Like used to, back when I was in high school is when I started the tree service when I was a junior, and in 2007 is when I basically stopped the policy that we would work on Saturdays. In 2005, 2006, I had 2 full-time employees, 2 part-time employees. The part-time employees were to give the full-time employees time off. And getting to the point now where, with the tree service, I have no employees. I have 3 contractors that help me as needed. And I have the equipment that has made it where comparatively, used to I would work 6 days a week for years, to the point now where I might work a day or 2 a week doing tree work, but still make more money.
Here's some context though from our perspective, right? Come walk in Ches and I's shoes and do customer service, and you will quickly realize that the type of lazy that Ches and I are used to seeing, you are still well above that. So yes, I realize you're giving us
of that.
Yeah, you're giving us context of your baseline, but our baseline that we're used to from the customer service side of things, there's a little difference there, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well, in my other company,
and I totally disagree. Like, I only work 2 days a week. Well, that's because your money is working for you now. You've saved up enough money. You've put that money to work. So now your money is making you money via the business. So just because you're not out there breaking sweat doesn't mean that you're not working.
Because I have no employees.
You don't have any employees. You still do all this stuff regardless. Apparently your money situation has made you where it doesn't even need to work more than 2 days a week. So regardless, your money is still making you money.
Sure.
And you just
I need
get
to work on the money management of it though. Was my theory there on the business money management side.
You write me a check and I'll just sell passive options on it, all right? Just write the check. We'll go to the Ches hedge fund. Forget Hooch's hedge fund.
It's time to get out the time machine. We're looking at the clock here. We got to start to... So get out the time machine.
So, Carl, if you could borrow my time machine and use it for anything.
He doesn't even know about the time machine, though.
Yeah, I forgot. He's never even gotten that.
I've heard reference in the chat room.
Carl, I own a time machine.
My
dad was an engineer, kind of like Clay, but he built a time machine, so he's obviously cooler than Clay. And,
he wasn't a process engineer.
That's right. He was Doc Brown. If Clay even watched Back to the Future yet.
No, I have. That's good stuff.
But if I was to lend you this time machine, you can go back and do anything besides buy Microsoft or buy any stocks when they were dirt cheap. What's one piece of advice you would give yourself?
With regards to trading, obviously, because otherwise it's the context is too
I'd
broad.
probably keep it trading related.
Go back to March. Let's see. I bought the crane on March 7th. I closed a position the Friday before. So we'll go back to March 2nd or March 3rd. Say, don't be an idiot, Carl. You can actually make an appreciable amount of money in the market. Go ahead and start the courses. Don't buy the crane, and just hold the course and see what happens.
Interesting. That's very, very. I thought I'm not complaining about that, but and again, you're not being paid in any other form for these.
Well, no, courses. And also starting the courses, meaning go ahead and accept that part of that stubbornness that volatility works for me, and that's the main aspect of going back to the 2nd of March. Was at this point, percentage wise, it would have been outstanding. North of a couple 100%. So that, and as well as, don't wait another, let's say from March till August 5 months to start on the
Right.
courses. You've already paid for them. Go ahead and just, hell with it. Just stay at home and watch courses, trade on the stock market. Don't feel guilty for not working when you're trying to learn to do something else.
That's a good problem you have, though, Carl.
Carl.
To know
Close
that
enough.
you have a job that's sitting there that can, take that guaranteed trade. I mean, that's got to be nice from a peace of mind standpoint.
Sure. It'd be a lot nicer, though, if that company, if we have our time machine, like we're talking about, if I could go back in time, not buy the crane, then that company would be free and clear. And it goes back to the money management thing. Don't be, just because I've made whatever percentage I've made year to date, with our time machine or without, there's still people who have done magnitudes better. So there's nothing, as long as your strategy is sound, it's okay for it to be easy money. It's not a handout. It's not a freebie. It's not the market just giving you something. It's something that you've earned, and you're just reaping the rewards of your efficiency.
Absolutely, well said. All right, Carl, this is where things actually get super serious.
Okay.
So I hope you're ready. But what is your favorite movie?
Don't really have favorites in terms of anything, but the two biggest movies that stand out in history for me, or my history, would be Inception and Avatar.
Absolutely love both of those movies, so that's awesome. Inception is actually the last movie I saw in theaters because I, unlike Clay, don't like going to theaters.
Sad. That's sad, Chaz.
I don't like confined boxes
Carl, when's the
with
last
a lot
time
of
you've
people
gone
I
to a
don't
movie
know.
theater?
Last time I've gone to a theater, in the past month. I'm trying to.
It's
trying to
different.
think.
It's different when you have kids, though, too.
Well, you need time away from your kids as well.
Whoa, can
This
you
is
say
true.
that? Can Dad say that? No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
Anyways, Carl, what would you say is your favorite meal and dessert?
Don't have favorites.
What do you prefer to eat more
In
often
the world
than
of
other
a podcast,
foods?
you have favorites.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's like back when I was even a kid, they used to say, "What's your favorite color?" So I would say blue because it was convenient because I was a boy. Or, what football team is your favorite? Mississippi State because it's 45 minutes away. I don't really care.
What food do you
So
eat most
I
frequently that you
my
enjoy?
wife makes homemade chicken nuggets that I'm a big fan of. We do a pretty good job grilling steak at the house, at Dad's house, or here, either one. And dessert-wise, Leah makes pretty good brownies. I like Coca-Cola cake. Just the traditional chocolatey, sugary goodness and fried food or beef.
Wow, that's a lot of favorites.
I don't have favorites. Favorites.
See what
favorites
I did there,
have
Chaz? I'm just
That
gonna
was pretty good.
poke him
That was
with his
pretty good.
favorite. Okay, ready? What is? Oh, well, here we go. He'll be happy with this one, Chaz. A place that you would like to visit someday. So not your favorite place you've ever been, but just a place you
Sure.
would like to visit.
Now, see, with this, it brings in the context of trading reference, or in the scope of trading, or just in the scope of life. In the scope of trading, my theory is that I'll probably travel around to meet some people and see how they do what they do, so I can learn more, faster, easier, etc. To me, it's an efficient way of seeing how other things are done. That's helped with the tree service, seeing how tree work's done on a couple different continents and all across the United States to figure out how in Podunk, Mississippi, I can have a reasonably advanced tree removal service. In terms of just traveling with the family, the wife would like to see most of the world, so I don't know. There's some place that has the waterfall that falls through the two. I can't remember where that was. Was it South America? Anyways, waterfall falls from the ceiling through two openings in what would be the floor. Anyways, just travel, see the world.
Right. See some stuff that's different. Go
Yeah.
see how other people are living and just kind of enjoy it and travel. And yeah, obviously we Kelly and I actually didn't go on a honeymoon anywhere crazy. We actually hung out in Michigan of all places. But yeah, we also want to kind of go
Pure
see some,
Michigan.
yeah. Well, we were in the UP, so it's practically Canada. That's what I always say. But yeah, and but anyways, Carl, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I do want one last question for you though. If you had to pick 3 words that you would attribute to successful trading, what would those 3 words be?
Discipline before glory.
That's pretty good.
Discipline before glory. Discipline before glory.
It's
So is that
three
like
words,
when-
Clay. I promise. I'm a math
It
major.
is, but is that one of your favorite sayings or what?
He's got no favorites.
That's why I asked, because I'm trying to get him upset again. I like pushing Carl's buttons. It's fun. But then in all seriousness, that was good. That was solid. And with that, this was a solid interview. And looks like we got ourselves a two-parter. So, Carl, welcome to the
You're in a league
elite.
with a few people. Yep.
I think you are number seventh person we've ever had with a two-parter. So thank you for hanging out with us for such an extended period of time, so that we now have a two-parter. But a lot of good stuff here. So for you listeners out there, a final few things before we go. First, if you are listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, be sure to subscribe. And also on iTunes, if you are willing to leave us a rating, preferably a good rating, that would go a long way and really help us out. If you are listening on YouTube, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. As Carl brought up, there's like 6,000 videos, so dig around a little bit. Maybe you'll find some stuff which hopefully helps you determine, I want to subscribe to the channel. And then finally, if you're listening on the website itself, be sure to click that share button and leave us any comments below. We do read those and we will reply. So thank you to Carl. Thank you to Ches. Thank you for everyone that's, if you're listening to this at this point in time, that implies that you've made it through the two-parter, but that's not shocking at all because this was some good stuff. So I'm going to go finish up my meatloaf. I'll see everybody next week.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.